Welcome, everybody. Welcome back to another SLMA radio show. This time it's Ready, Set, Grow with Laura Patterson, where she interviews C-level executives from across various industries to discuss how they've organically grown their companies. These tell-all programs will focus on revealing the tools and management techniques these people have put into practice today, yesterday, and tomorrow to fuel above-average growth. Welcome, Laura. Oh, we're just barely hearing. You could just speak up a little bit there.
Welcome, Paul, and welcome everyone to the Ready, Set, Grow SLMA radio show, where we gain insights and wisdom from members of the C-suite on how to grow organically and the role they expect marketing to play and how they will measure marketing's contribution to growth. Thanks for tuning in. If you missed our previous episodes, you can catch the replays on our recordings with our guests, Ziggy Shanklin, CEO of White Cloud Security, J.T. McCormick, CEO of Scribe Media, and Dave Sikora, CEO of Alter, on our website at visionedgemarketing.com. Today, we're fortunate to have Kevin Jones, formerly CEO of Anovia, join us. He is an expert in the payments industry. Now, Kevin's on his way to Nashville. We're here in Austin. He made a little pit stop to join us today, and we're very excited to have him. He's heading to Nashville, where he's going to take the helm of a new company that focuses on software integration to create added simplicity for merchants. Once he's out of stealth mode, we'll tweet about it. Remember to follow us on @LauraVEM for when Kevin's ready to spill the beans. Here's what I can tell you, though, in terms of what I know about Kevin. He is all about driving growth through innovation, strategic partnerships, a results-oriented culture, and keen risk management practices. And he has the track record to prove it. He founded Anovia Payments in 2013, and in his first 4 years, the company had over 12,500 business customers. Here's something else to know about Kevin. He believes in building nimble, flexible organizations that succeed as a result of developing long, mutually profitable relationships. Kevin, thanks for making a stop here in Austin to join us today.
Nice to be here.
Okay, so let's talk about growth.
Excellent.
As a CEO and an executive, and this is obviously not your first rodeo, where does organic growth typically fit on your priority list?
So the way I think about organic growth is, at the end of the day, for specifically a startup organization, organic growth is the number one key to success. The way I approach this, however, strategically is really to prioritize many parts of the business before specifically pursuing growth. So examples are being really passionate about the user experience, the customer service and support processes, product and technology advancements. So really those are focused on so you can deliver true differentiation to the customer. I think once that differentiation exists and you can articulate it appropriately, then the growth curve is ready to really begin.
That makes a lot of sense to me. So here you're going to be starting a new company. You've got lots of experience in this space. What do you think are the biggest challenges companies face when they're trying to achieve organic growth?
I think specifically in fintech right now, one of the biggest challenges is racing to keep up with the innovation and technology that's really fragmenting the market. And I think just because technology is evolving at such a rapid pace, that is probably what a lot of people feel in a lot of different marketplaces. We're in an unusually innovative period in fintech right now, which is super exciting, but it also forces you to make some bets. So I see technology as a great opportunity, but it does force you to focus really heavily on hiring fast-paced, highly intellectual folks with a lot of energy that can rise to the top through chaos. And having the appropriate focus on that technology and being nimble, as you kind of said in your opening dialogue, is really important. I'll give you an example. When I got into the payments industry several years ago, about 10% of our total employees were technology-focused employees, dev, et cetera. At Anovia, as I left, we had 120 employees and 60 were dev. So 50% of the organization was technology. So it just shows how technology and innovation is rapidly kind of changing the marketplace, and that's a definite challenge. The other challenge is really competition. As businesses evolved, there's a diverse cast of competitors that I really respect. So creating true differentiation and simplicity in the UI is what's gaining market share from an organic growth perspective.
So that's really interesting that you're talking about differentiation. I want to come back to that because that's a key aspect of marketing. But before we do that, one of the other things that you brought up is the people and the culture. You're talking about energetic, intelligent, somewhat technically savvy, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about the kind of culture that you think is really vital for any company that wants to grow organically. So what do you think are the top three? Just give me three, because I know you, and you probably could spend our whole episode talking about culture. But what would be the top three things that you would say that an organization needs to have in terms of culture?
In an actual employee?
In a culture of the organization. It doesn't have to be specific to employees.
So I think innovation, I really am a big believer in a performance-based culture. In other words, those who perform continue to rise. And fast-paced and energetic, because I think those are the key things that it takes to create value. And I think from a team perspective, just to add one more, the bottom line is you see more and more as I've evolved as a leader that having employees that feel valued is the key to kind of getting that energy.
I agree. In our company at Vision Edge Marketing, it's all about the numbers, right? We started as a company that's focused on data and measurement and process, all for the purpose of performance measurement and management, and being able to understand how to use that data to propel growth. So I totally agree with the notion. And I think innovation is a really important message too. So you were talking a little bit about differentiation, and you're in fintech and electronic payments.
Right.
This is a somewhat mature market space, even though there's innovation occurring in it. But we've been doing electronic payments for a while. This is not a disruptive technology. So what role do you think marketing is going to play, and how do you leverage marketing to help you with true differentiation?
The way I look at fintech right now is that marketing has to truly lead the organization. So when I build organizations, it's really one of the first things that I focus on to ensure that we have the appropriate marketing that can drive from the front of the organization. And our marketing teams are always really involved in every decision, not just marketing decisions, because I think, as kind of I mentioned in my first response, product technology and simplicity are really core to creating better user experience at the consumer and the business level. And if you do that, if you're able to create good product, good technology, you've got to be able to find a way to articulate those differentiations between you and your competitors really well, and then inculcate those in the market in such a way that your end consumers and your end businesses understand what differentiates you. So I'm a huge believer in really even walking into organizations as a friend and saying, what differentiates you? What is the one thing that differentiates you? All right, take that to the market and inculcate that.
Yeah, that makes really good sense. So how well do you think marketers and marketing organizations, whether in the space that you're most familiar with or because you have a lot of exposure to other businesses, how well do you think marketing is doing on really being able to be that critical player that is leading from the front, so to speak?
I think it's really interesting because financial technology and specifically electronic payments it's at an interesting time because electronic payments initially started on the third floor of a bank in New York. And as such, there's a heavy concentration of big players on the East Coast that do a really good job. But over the last 5 to 7 years, we've seen a tremendous influence come in from, say, Silicon Valley and other big tech hubs. And, you kind of see the East Coast guys really have the compliance and understanding of how to build sustainable payments engines. And then you have the innovation and user experience come from the other side. So you see a pretty drastic difference between one competitor to the other as to how they're utilizing marketing. Whether one is looking at it as like trade show booths, websites, and collateral, and the other is looking at it as creating true differentiation and simplicity that disrupts the user experience in such a way that sometimes even when those other things aren't in perfect order, they still win.
The first is kind of very tactical, right? Kind of down in the weeds, getting the stuff done. And that's kind of marketing with lowercase m, right?
Right.
What you're really talking about is marketing uppercase M, right? Capital M.
Right.
And so when you're thinking about the capital M and you're thinking about what you know, how well, on a scale of 1 to 10, how well do you think marketing as a discipline is able to be the capital M?
I think they're able at a 9, but I think they're operating at a 6.
That's a really great distinction. I think that there's probably that's a very insightful comment. So I think you're right, operating at a 6 based on what we've seen and what we've experienced. So what are the two things that you believe marketing then could do better to get from operating at a 6 to operating at a 10?
I really think two of the biggest things are market analysis and productization of the differentiators. Because I think so many people still don't take the appropriate time to analyze the markets and verticals they want to go into, find out where the opportunity is, who has the most players, who has the most competition, what's the margin look like, so you can identify the ponds you want to fish in. And then secondarily, it's creating true differentiation through technology and actually productizing that in such a way that it's consumable. And then last but not least is driving that into the marketplace.
So you're bringing up something that is really truly marketing, strategic and product marketing, and yet today so many folks think about marketing as the digital marketing world, right? Which is why you were saying so much down in the weeds, the website, the email campaigns, the social media, the content, right, events. And what you're really saying is doing market analysis. I mean, that's a true skill set of being able to understand how to do research, customer research, market research, competitive intelligence, productization. I mean, again, these are tried and true, original, what you would call the roots of strategic and product marketing. Do you find that most marketing organizations have strategic and product marketing, or are they mostly digital marketing?
I feel like that they're mostly digital and collateral. And, I think that for the second piece that we're talking about, which is really taking it to the market, right? Social media, websites, collateral. You can't do that unless you've done an appropriate job of market analysis, productization.
I agree.
And I think that's where I think people are missing the front end in a lot of instances.
It would seem that way from what we're seeing as well. So let's get started on talking about this measurement, which is my passion personally, measuring marketing's contribution and value and impact to business growth. But before we do that, I think we're going to need to take a break. And so we'll segue to a quick break, and then we'll be right back.
And the quick break is actually very simple. We just want to remind you that Vision Edge Marketing works with chief executive, financial marketing, growth, strategy, customer insight officers, all sorts of people in all sorts of industries, including manufacturing, technology, financial services, medical device, life sciences, and transportation logistics. All of that and more, they help them face their growth and find a performance metric that works for them and a way to move forward. Customers rely on Vision Edge Marketing's expertise to make more effective and faster, fact-based decisions regarding customers, markets, products, and the competition. And they show them how to improve and prove the value of marketing and leverage data analytics processes and measurement to increase their overall relevance and ability to deliver greater impact. All that and more, it's a lofty goal, but they deliver it every day. You can too at visionedgemarketing.com. Just like it sounds, visionedgemarketing.com. All right, we're going to get back to our show, and I'm going to encourage both of them to lean in a little bit closer to the mic. I know they're getting excited and they're moving back away from it, so we want to pick up every nugget and bit of wisdom here.
Okay, we're sitting on top of the mic.
Okay, get close.
We're really cozy.
We want to get close. We want to feel cozy and connected with you here.
Get closer. Okay, so thank you, and we're back, and we're really excited to have Kevin Jones with us today talking about organic growth and marketing. So as I was saying, and Kevin was talking about, Kevin's going to be bringing up another company in the electronics payments fintech space. I don't know if Kevin knows this, but I actually started my career in financial services a long time ago, so we won't go there. But I think it is important to talk about, particularly in the financial services and fintech space, the numbers that matter, because, these are organizations that are ran by people who care about the numbers. And so let's talk a little bit about how you might go about measuring marketing's value and contribution. Now, in your new company, obviously it's going to be about customer acquisition. It's a brand new company. It's going to be really important. But one of the things that you were saying earlier is also customer experience, right? And I'm assuming that you'll be looking at, referral rate, adoption rate. Those are kind of things that come to my mind when I'm thinking about the kinds of companies you ran in the past. How do those measures play, and what else do you care about?
Well, first of all, I think that from a head of marketing perspective, I think that the overall growth of the organization and retention of the organization is the first number you start with marketing. And most of my colleagues tend to not look to rate their marketing group based on the overall organization. They get into the weeds of, the KPIs that obviously I still believe should be measured, results, ROI of trade shows, ROI of campaigns on, analytics to drive referrals to the organization, et cetera. But overall, the biggest differentiator, the way I believe, is that the marketing team should be rewarded based on the overall organization's performance because they are leading from the front.
I totally agree. So when you think about overall organization performance, other than thinking about revenue, right, because all companies need to have revenue and profit because we're in a capitalistic economy and therefore profit's kind of really important. Cash, right? Cash is king. So other than those kinds of financial measures, moving the business performance, leading forward, would that be things like penetration into a particular category? Would that be things like number of customers in a particular segment? What would that look like?
I think, based on different campaigns, we could probably do another show just on this, of course. But I think based on certain campaigns, you can certainly measure your ability, your close ratios in certain verticals based on the market analysis the team did. You can look at overall referrals to the organization based on digital marketing. I think, we typically had about 11 KPIs in marketing that would reflect how the organization is done. And those span from referrals, but also reputation management, which is really important, which is what is the overall perspective of the organization from both peers, customers, and the overall marketplace. So I think there's a multi-pronged way to look at it. And
absolutely,
obviously, depending on what you're insourcing, outsourcing, what the size of your marketing group is, and what their specific tasks are.
Well, I love the thought you have about reputation management. And one of the things that I always tie reputation management to in terms of a really important metric is brand preference. So you're going to have competition, and one of the ways to really see how you're setting up against the brand, against competitors, and how well you're being received in the marketplace is brand preference.
Right.
And that could be a really interesting KPI. You're right, we could probably have a whole nother episode on measures, metrics, KPIs, data, but Paul's not going to let us do that right now. So let's segue into a little bit more about you. I really am fascinated by some of the things you've been able to achieve in your career. I'd love for you to tell us a little bit more about your path to CEO, your path to electronic payments, and then as you're looking back on this journey and where you're headed, sort of insights, lessons learned, pearls of wisdom that you might share with our listeners.
Sure. So I started, my last organization was called Anovia, as you mentioned, and we started that organization in 2013 because we saw a gap in the marketplace specifically related to strategic partnerships. So there's plenty of companies marketing directly to merchants and integrations and such, but people weren't really creating technology specific to the referral partners and the integration partners that were in the marketplace. So we went out and created a technology called Trio that enabled us to create microsites for partners from Habitat for Humanity to community banks to other referral partners that allowed them to come in and click the call, click the chat, schedule an appointment, choose a merchant services solution if they wanted to, frankly, online, where they could e-sig for it, have a completely automated process through the operations, and have them up and running in a very short amount of time. Literally, we had some accounts that could be set up while someone went to grab a cup of coffee. So, my passion was to create simplicity and really good reporting to both customer and partner so that everybody felt confident in where the referrals were going. So we did create a 360-degree view of each merchant's kind of life at Anovia, and we're able to report that back in such a way that we could deliver more value to the customer at the end of the day through delivering data to them, better products, watching their business in such a way that maybe there was a better product or a different cost structure that made more sense for them. So that was really the partner-focused technology was what we focused on, and I had a good run with it.
I think that's really awesome. So in your personal journey, if someone out there is thinking, I'm thinking someday I'd like to be a CEO, what are some pitfalls or things I should be thinking about as I make that journey? What would be some lessons learned, insights that you would give to just anyone thinking about starting up a company, taking the role of a CEO, any of those things, Kevin?
Yep. I think, first of all, being a CEO is not for everybody. I mean, I think when people tell me they want to be a CEO, a lot of times I take out a pen and go into a whiteboard and say, all right, here's all the things it takes to be a CEO, or, are you sure? But with my path, it was a pretty direct path because, I grew up in the mountains of North Carolina, and my particular situation, was raised by a single mom that was a saint and worked 2 jobs to give me opportunity. So when I got out of college, I was the first to go to college in my family. So
I can relate to that.
When I got out of college, I was pretty well set on working hard. I wasn't, backpacking through Europe or anything. I was there to.
I can relate to that.
to go fast and hard. So when I graduated, I really enjoy people. That's probably. I tell my wife all the time that when I'm on my deathbed, the thing I'm going to look back at and be proud of is developing people, giving them opportunity to grow. And I think, when you do that and people grow, you're going to win, right? Because you have engaged employees. But I was pretty focused on being a CEO from a very young age. And as such, I didn't focus on compensation probably for 20 years of my career. I just focused on experiences. Look at it as a continued education, right? Get great mentors, learn as much as I could, stay intellectually curious, and take on as much as I could handle at any one time to continue to push myself. So
what I'm hearing is be focused, right? Work hard. Don't try to go it alone. Get some good mentors. Recognize you don't know everything.
Right.
You might know some things, but you can always learn more and be intellectually curious. Is that kind of what I'm hearing?
Right. Yes.
That's fantastic. Well, this has been a really good episode. Is there any sort of last things that you would like to say as we begin to wrap up?
Yeah, I think, for people that are looking to continue to grow, I think being comfortable being uncomfortable is probably the main thing I've said for 15 years. You can't do it alone. No matter how good you are, and if you try to, you're going to eventually fail. So find people that you can pull and that can also push you. And then prioritize family, especially if you want to be a CEO. I've seen so many people that find a ton of success, and they end up in a really big house alone, and that's not good.
That's sad.
So I think you have to prioritize your family really highly. And then last but not least, I think, maintaining respect for everyone and staying humble. Regardless of success you have, is a recipe for a happy life, So those are probably the 4 pieces of advice I would give people.
That's excellent advice. Well, really appreciate you making a stop here in Austin. Wish you all the success with the new endeavor. Can't wait to hear more about it. And with that, we'll turn everything back over to Paul. And come listen to us at visionedgemarketing.com. We'll have where we have the previous episodes. And if you missed out on this one, we'll have it up and running soon, too. All the best.